Xaivian Lee is one of the more unorthodox guards I've seen in a minute. Not necessarily to the naked eye, but when you look at his game under the microscope, the combination of super creative timing and footwork off the dribble, quick pulls from deep, crafty finishing around the rim on both athletic and controlled layups, and the way he moves off ball, he's paved his own path a bit, and it's something every player can study and learn from. I had a lot of fun making this, and hopefully y'all have just as much fun watching and trying some of this stuff out. So first off, let's dive into his attacking off the bounce. As I mentioned, as he's looking to create space with the dribble, the timing, footwork, and overall movement is pretty unique. And these type of unorthodox players are always some of the best to watch because you're constantly getting new ideas. First off, it almost looks like he makes accidental moves look super clean. Like this push cross in and out type thing that ends up working really well into a smooth jumper. This misdirection here where he bounces out with the inside hand. Or losing the ball straight into a nice wide cross. These really speak to his adaptability as he's able to make anything work and do it with confidence and aggression. His timing of changes of direction are also pretty unique as he'll get almost all the way into this step and then decel with a ton of force. It's almost like an exaggerated anchor step where he's reacting last second. Sometimes it ends up getting him pretty close to the defender like here, so he's clearly gotten good at rotating a bit to protect it. You also notice how he often violently shifts or switches his feet, which first off gives this foot a ton of backwards momentum to project him forward with serious force. But also then allows him to fake this and get defenders thinking he'll use this to blow by them. Another little technique here are these half spin hops, where he'll turn his back to the defender, get up in their space a bit, change speeds, and then use that rotational force to explode by them. And similarly, off of triple threat, he lulls his defenders to sleep with these reverse pivots, where once again, he turns his back to them, but sneakily gets a bit of position on them or a step, as well as getting up in their frame, which makes it much easier to go by them. Next, once he actually gets that step on his defender, he's by them a little bit, he'll use these creative push-out dribbles to get through that second layer gap in the defense. Sometimes he'll have to rotate more than others, but I love these for splitting gaps and also using it to accelerate past the defender without having to worry about the dribble timing. Now, as good as he is off the dribble, he's probably just as good attacking off the catch. And last year, he scored more off the catch than on ball screens, which is impressive for a point guard who's really good in pick and roll situations. One piece of this is how diligently he catches in a split position. Once again, just like off the dribble, this almost gives him a turbo boost off the catch, while also giving him some control in high-speed situations like this. With this foot behind him and a bit of rhythm going, it makes it super comfortable to then explode in either direction. Oh, and you can still easily step into a comfortable catch and shoot here with no problem if that's the best decision in this situation. Other times though, he'll use this slow square up and go. But most times it'll still start in a split, but he'll go slow-mo for the first second to get the defender running at him or lull him to sleep a little bit like here, and then explode, almost functioning like a hezzy but off of the catch. Now the opposite of these are stampedes, where rather than slowing down upon catching it, he's actually sprinting to meet the ball and throw off the angle and the timing of the closeout. So when you go to meet the ball, it completely disorients their closeout and gives you a head start while they're still moving away from the hoop. And another tool he uses to get into these off-the-catch attacks are boomerangs, where he'll be off the dribble, swing it over, they'll pass it back, and he'll re-attack off the catch. This can catch the defender lacking a bit, but also gives him more options off the triple threat where he's really good. And lastly, he relatively plays a ton off of handoffs, and guess how he's almost always attacking these once again? Yep, a split. He's making an effort to get turned as soon as he gets daylight past the handoff and orient his split towards the rim, so rotating here, where now he can attack this 2v1 aggressively. Sometimes he'll use other tools like a slow hop, or just putting the ball down quickly to get into wide open space, but he's really good at turning this corner creatively and then from there, capitalizing on this defender who's often in between him and his big. Definitely something worth working on. Now let's talk about once he actually gets to the 10. First off, notice how hard he attacks the rim. It's violent, aggressive, and physical most times, yet at the same time super controlled, and he's able to slow down, find composure, find patience at the last second. Part of this is created with in-stride gallops like this that help him slow down and find some rhythm into his jump. But even more often with his creativity and stability off of 2-foot pivot work. A lot of the time when he doesn't have a super clear advantage, he'll get to this lane line area come to 2 feet, and then from there he's developed a great feel for finding space and pivoting in some pretty unorthodox ways. Sometimes he'll even turn it into a post-up at first and keep his dribble alive to probe these options first. And notice how he gets super wide here, so now his base of support is crazy and he has more stability. And this is a bit off topic, but this ability to get into these insanely low, wide positions helps him cover a lot of ground quickly and get defenders worrying about him going by, something that gets him space anywhere on the court. Anyways, he's also fantastic in mid-air, where he's more than able to switch both hands and the direction of his jump at a really high speed to slip around defenders, as well as get momentum on the ball by cradling it like this. For example, this lefty finish where he drops the ball in mid-air to create a smoother scoop layup with some easy momentum. And this is only the surface of his touch around the rim, and he's one of the best I've seen in a while, these underhand scoops from a few feet out, which is clearly a super tough thing to do. And these lefty extensions are also a great tool to have in the toolbox. They take a ton of coordination to float off the ground like this, and then extend out with the offhand, but he makes it work. Let's talk about his perimeter shooting game next. Now, he very rarely shoots middies and is constantly looking to get off the bounce threes, and he does it pretty damn well, partially because of how quick his trigger is. It takes a ton of control to be able to shoot with this fast of a one motion release, but he's developed a super efficient shot that just makes the ball look light coming out of his hands, which obviously helps him get the shot off quicker, but also adds a good amount of range considering everything is working together in harmony. Then his pickup timing magnifies it even more, as he'll pull it when the ball is maybe over near his right hip to throw off the defender's contest. Or even when his feet are super wide, he'll quickly get that ball into the upwards motion while centering his feet, serving a very similar purpose. In terms of creating breathing room to get these off comfortably, a lot of it comes down to just getting defenders on their heels, which is most times the biggest key to knocking down comfortable perimeter jumpers off the bounce. Notice how on all these, he's using some sort of attack to get them moving backwards, and as soon as their weight is back, he's utilizing the quick trigger to make it almost impossible for them to shift their weight back forwards and recover for a hard contest. Obviously, it helps here to be a great driver because they're scared of you getting downhill, so this is easy money for him. Then sometimes, once they're on their heels, they overcompensate by then leaning forward, and he can go by easier. So for him, it's really a game of momentum, and it also helps him get into these really nice acceleration positions by getting his feet behind him and then projecting forward out of there. Other times he'll start up pretty close to half court, especially if teams are pressuring him there, and will use this to get a ton of downhill momentum and speed, which he'll then use against his defender, because now with this much speed, it's almost impossible for them to re-square their hips and contest a shot. So he has a ton of runway to get speed, to get them turning their hips, and to make sure it's still a three-pointer. And lastly, I want to talk about a super underrated part of his game: cutting. Part of the reason why I'm a big fan of his game is because it's not just ball screens and ISO, it's handoffs, spot-ups, cutting, and more. And within their offense, he's gotten really good at understanding when these cutting opportunities happen, especially around handoffs. So it could be aggressively attacking the handoff and then cutting back from there, getting all the way through the handoff and then circling around for what we call a bogut, going back door off of this down screen that's a continuous part of their offense, changing speed off of a flare screen opportunity as he lulls them to sleep and then bursts back door, fakes a little slow change of direction towards the handoff and then goes back door. And I've always said the best ball handlers should also be the best cutters. They move well, they know how to deceive the defense, they understand momentum, they change speeds well, and they're shifty. And he's definitely a good example of this, and then is able to finish these tough layups where you have to catch and quickly whip your head around to the rim. So hopefully you guys learned something new from this video, especially some of these nuanced or more unorthodox components of his game. As always, go out, try these things out, experiment, see what you can apply into your game and add your own flavor on it, and let me know what you think.